7 News with Kendall Gilding.
Good afternoon. Our top stories this Wednesday. The southeast on storm watch. Hail leaves a trail of destruction after a day of soaring temperatures. Our top doctors concern over infection deaths at a major Brisbane hospital. Israeli forces raid Gaza's biggest hospital, hunting for Hamas militants. And police bust a massive cannabis growing operation on the Fraser Coast. The huge amount of drugs they found. Good afternoon. As we go to air, parts of the southeast are being struck by dangerous storms, with reports a home has collapsed at Kilcoy. We'll bring you breaking details as pictures come into the newsroom. The threat starting with heatwave conditions that intensified throughout the day. Joel Dry has more.
Well, it's been all about keeping cool here today, particularly in the city of Ipswich, with a top temperature of 37 degrees forecast. A lot of humidity and instability in the air made it quite a sticky day and uncomfortable for people who found themselves out in the heat.
Hot and sweaty, very hot and sweaty. Uncomfortable.
It is what it is. Everyone goes through a little bit of something sometimes. A little heat won't hurt anyone.
This heat build-up means one thing: storms likely on the forecast. Perhaps later this afternoon, perhaps this evening. A lot of instability in the air. There is the chance for some pretty severe thunderstorms.
With the nature of thunderstorms, of course, they won't necessarily be everywhere. Not everyone will see that activity, but there is that chance that hit and miss thunderstorms could be quite strong in nature and packing quite a punch.
And the forecast is a bit of a repeat again tomorrow. Hot temperatures throughout the southeast and more storms on the forecast before we get a bit of a reprieve as we get to the weekend.
Well, now to Tony Auden. What is the latest on today's storms?
Well, Kendall, it was actually slow to start, but that doesn't mean that the show is over just yet. We have a capped atmosphere, which means that storms need to push through a layer of warm air to get going, but when they do, they can grow quickly. So as we move onto the radar, here are those main cells of concern a short time ago with those warnings and hail reported up towards the Sunshine Coast hinterland. Those warnings have now been cancelled, but we do still have a couple of weaker cells and showers dotted across parts of the southeast. There's still enough juice in the atmosphere that these cells could intensify, so it's well worth watching for now. As we look ahead, there is still plenty of instability in the atmosphere for tomorrow. So storms and further severe cells are again on the cards right across the southeast. Then on Friday, a cooler wind change should sweep through. This will weaken the instability, but again, we could still see some punchy showers and weaker storms across the region. Kendall, I'll be watching for any more storms and be back soon with the latest.
Thank you, Tony. The state's top doctor says he's concerned by a deadly fungal infection cluster in